Hey, what is up, everybody? Sean here, and today we got a lot of information and news regarding the updates on the voting recount. We got some updates on Trump's potential official concession tweet that just happened yesterday. We're going to be talking about the new Biden transition. We're going to be talking about what the CDC has to say about this new Biden transition and their outlook on everything. And we'll also be uncovering what this could look like for EV and health sector stocks as Biden begins to transition into this period. So make sure you stay tuned. We got a lot of awesome stuff coming up right now. Okay, so let's start with the voter recounts, the lawsuits that are happening. As you know, over the last few weeks, Trump has been pushing a lot of lawsuits out with the different states that he did not win, claiming voter fraud, and him along with the Republican Party are trying to delay official stamps on, Biden certification winning that particular state so that they can get in there, check to see what kind of voter fraud may have happened, and to see if they can't get some of those states swung back into Trump's favor. Basically, with all these states, it's coming back like, hey, no, like we're putting the official stamp on it. Biden is the winner of this state. Even a state like Michigan, where Trump and the Republican Party has asked them just earlier this last week to push back at least 2 weeks so they can get in there and have some time to find some voter fraud. Michigan came back, put their official certification on Biden victory as well. So it's not looking very good for Trump. In addition, Pennsylvania has recently announced their official certification as well, that Biden has officially won it, with the judge completely even just like dismissing and throwing out the lawsuit that Trump and his team had put together, basically calling it Frankenstein's monster and that it was haphazardly stitched together. So the judge was just like, no, we're not even dealing with it at this point. They gave their official certification. So it's not looking very good in terms of Trump. He's getting pretty much roadblocked from all angles. And while he's still kind of putting up a fight and trying to push through, it's not looking good. And even people on the Republican side are starting to lose steam, and you're starting to see a lot of even people on his team starting to tell the president, like, hey, I think at this point we need to go ahead and concede. We need to go ahead and let the transition period happen. This is what's best for our country. But we'll see what kind of happens with that. But we did officially, officially, we received a tweet from Trump just the other night. I think it was later yesterday, kind of giving what could be his sort of official, unofficial concession via a tweet. I'll pull that up here, right here. President Trump just tweeted here November 23rd. I want to thank Emily Murphy at GSA for her steadfast dedication and loyalty to our country. She has been harassed, threatened, and abused, and I do not want to see this happen to her, her family, or employees of GSA. Our case strongly continues. We will keep up the good fight, and I believe we will prevail. Nevertheless, in the best interest of our country, I am recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols, and have told my team to do the same. Okay, so what does this mean? Because on one side, on the left side, that, this is kind of being interpreted as, listen, this is basically Trump's concession. You're not probably going to get an official, like, I concede from this guy. And this is kind of his way of conceding without conceding. But then on the other side, you have, on a lot of people in the Republican Party saying that, look, this is not a concession. This is just Trump stating, like, hey, like, yeah, like Emily Murphy and the GSA, do what you need to do. We're doing what we need to do. Obviously, we're trying to do the best that we can in this, in the light of this situation. However, there are some other things that are happening right now that pretty much are signaling that, Trump is conceding, that there is that official transition period now with Biden. And that is that also Mar-A-Lago is being renovated as well right now. And that is to be presumed where Trump will be going after he leaves his presidency, that he will be going back to Mar-A-Lago and will be living there. In addition to that, there has been word on the street that Secret Service members have been asked if they would like to relocate to Florida and who would be interested in that. Because as you know, when a president leaves office, they are allowed to have Secret Service for life. And so that would kind of be in line right with the Mar-a-Lago transition as well. So let's talk about the CDC for 1 minute, because the CDC has started to make some public announcements and statements regarding the official Biden transition period. And CDC has basically stated, this is what we've been waiting for. So many official CDC leaders has empathetically said that they are excited about the Biden transition. They do believe this is going to be a major help in our progress towards fighting this pandemic. Let's talk about the next major component, which is Joe Biden's cabinet nominations. In just a few hours, Joe Biden is expected to announce his cabinet nominees as he transitions into office, and we have some pretty interesting takeaways here. So the first thing that we're expected to see is expertise over names. So one thing that I think Biden and his team is going to be assembling is finding people in the particular fields that they're in that aren't necessarily major household names or people that we maybe would normally hear of, but they are going to be experts that have a long-standing history and a lot of experience in that particular sector that they will be appointed to. The other thing we're going to be seeing is that diversity will be a priority for Joe Biden and his team as well. And as we can see, there are going to be a few people here that are expected to be announced. We're going to have the first woman to oversee the Treasury Department, the first Latino immigrant to run the Department of Homeland Security, the first woman to lead the intelligence community. So we are going to see some diversity put into these cabinet members, a lot of first-time type people, like, you know, first woman of this, first immigrant for this type of department. So that's going to be another key thing we're going to be seeing under Joe Biden's cabinet nominations. So the other component of this is, what does this look like for the EV stocks? What does this look like for the kind of greenhouse, green energy type stocks? And if you've been following the stock market lately, especially in the EV sector, you know, companies like Tesla, NIO, XPeng, the charging companies, what you've noticed is that there's been a massive bull rally over the last couple weeks in those sectors. Some of these stocks rising 10, 20, 30% or more in a day, up to a week or two. And so it's just been this massive bull rally. And I think that we could probably expect to see more of an upward trend in this area. And that is because when we think about EV, when we think about, you know, greenhouse or green energy type companies, those do tend to be closely related to the Democratic Party, to you know, Joe Biden. And you know, we're also seeing Biden put in leaders and appointed officials who are kind of very pro in those sectors. And so I do think there's going to be some potential upside. However, you know, you just never know with this stuff, because with this pandemic, as you have seen in the news and you've been hearing, that cases are surging dramatically, and that a lot of states are already talking about having to do a second shutdown, and that's following in the footsteps of many other countries overseas who are already in their second lockdown period. And so, you know, all over the country, we're starting to see a lot of states starting to, you know, kind of bring back some of those restrictions, you know, advising that people do not travel during the holidays. Me living in LA, you know, we're already talking about, you know, starting tomorrow, restaurants are no longer going to be allowed to do outdoor dining. It's going to be takeout only. And at least in Los Angeles, basically, if our 5-day average exceeds 4,500, which we're just a little over 4,000 right now, we might actually be seeing a similar lockdown to the one that we had back in March. So with that happening, with unemployment checks running out and phasing out here in the end of December, if we don't come to an agreement on a stimulus package or check, this could send a massive second dip, a second recession happening here in the near future. So who knows what may happen with the stocks, but I do think overall, with Biden being in a transition period and him pretty much at this point is officially, you know, been announced the president elect, and we'll be doing that transition period right now, even though we still, you know, as we mentioned, have some of those rebuttals, some of those lawsuits and pending lawsuits happening. You know, it's pretty much a done, signed, sealed deal at this point. But I do think that overall, the stocks will probably in those sectors be doing pretty well. Anyways, make sure you comment below. I want to hear what your thoughts are on all of this. You know, the stock market, the transition period, the CDC. What is your thoughts on this pandemic? How this is going to look moving forward? It's a really crazy time, especially with the non-agreement of the stimulus checks and bills as well, trying to get that second rounds. But comment below, stay safe, and have a wonderful day and keep crushing it.